Welcome to Softcore Wellness. I'm Savannah.
And I'm Chelsea. This is a space to explore without pressure, perfectionism, or performance.
Softness, strength, and being human.
That's the vibe.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Softcore Wellness. We are here today with Rachel Griffin, a licensed social worker who is also the manager of an end-of-life doula program. So happy to have you. I'm really excited to talk about death, grief, impermanence, all of the fun stuff today. I think it's really important because our society shies away. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to be where you are?
So I've been I'm a clinical social worker. I have an undergraduate and a graduate degree in social work, and it's my favorite thing in the entire world. It's so fulfilling. I will say that the majority of my career has been spent with the geriatric population. So I did my internship when I was in graduate school with a hospice, and that was my first intro into the hospice world, and I was 23 years old.
Wow.
Which, I think we all go through this period of everybody's going to die of cancer. We're all dying of cancer. It's happening right now. We're all dying of cancer, and it's literally in our bodies, and then we're all going to die. So after I got kind of over that period of freak out, and I would change. People at parties in college would ask me what I would do, what I was doing, what my internship was in. And I would lie because I didn't want to be the downer at parties. So I'm with people when they die. And 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, they don't really have any experience
You're not thinking about that at all.
No. And so I would just make up something because I didn't want to bum everybody out. But I really fell in love with it at that point. And then I've spent the majority of my career with the aging population. And I've been in the nonprofit hospice world for about 4 or 5 years at this point.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so then I am also the manager of our end-of-life doula program. And in that manager role, it's more of a clinical person that can help them debrief because if you don't know about doulas.
Let's say please. Yeah.
Let's tell us like we know nothing.
Okay, perfect. The way I describe it to families, because for some, very traditional older families, it's a bit of a woo-woo situation, and they're a little freaked out by it.
Sure.
But doulas, in the same way that a birthing doula helps someone enter the world, right? Yeah. Curates the space and the support around that mom. Our end-of-life doulas do the same thing for when someone leaves the world. And so they are a holistic, non-medical approach, right? So in my role, I'm clinical. So I am talking about disease process. I am talking about the realities of that person's situation. A doula doesn't have to do that.
Right.
They're holistic. They're whole person centered.
Yeah.
And so I represent a clinical aspect of their disease, of their reality, versus a doula doesn't have to be that. So I had, for example, one of our doulas at one point helped a patient who had an ostomy bag pick out a dress to go on a date with her husband. So that hid that, right? And so it's whole person.
Yeah.
It's not just their diagnosis. It's not just what's happening to them or their prognosis so that to me is incredible.
The fact empowering.
It's just beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And of course, we are person-centered as clinicians, but we represent that just walking in the door, right? We are only there because they are dying.
Right.
And so it's just a completely different, just an added level of support.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
What is one of the biggest things that you've learned throughout your career and journey? I think about death that maybe we as a society don't even like acknowledge or understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a taboo topic, right?
Yeah.
It's something to be feared. It's something, but we wake up, we begin our lives dying. We die a little every day.
That's right, yeah. That's a harsh reality.
Right. And it's coming no matter what.
It's true, though.
It is. But, I think we talk about it in such finite, closed terms that it doesn't we don't open ourselves up to the idea that our bodies protect us. And it's the human body is the most miraculous and amazing thing. And we just don't know about that. We walk around in our bodies every single day with safety nets that will protect us when we die. For people that have had near-death experiences, so DMT, dimethyltryptamine, right?
Yeah.
People smoke it as a recreational drug.
Right.
Apparently you can talk to ghosts when you do that, but it's called the spirit molecule.
Yes.
That's what they did in that movie, right? Like they were experimenting with that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where a bunch of like intern doctors or whatever, like in the basement, like triggering near-death experiences.
Exactly.
No, that's wild.
Yeah.
So your brain is flooded with that.
Yes.
When we die specifically.
Right.
So when the brain is deprived of oxygen, actually I don't like saying the word deprived. That means, to me, deprived means it needs something that it cannot get.
Right.
But it actually does not need it anymore.
Right.
Right? So it's when that natural process is happening. And it's not like the movies at all.
Yeah.
Right? People aren't having full conversations.
Yeah.
And then they're dead. Like that's not that's not how that looks. For most people, it's the act of dying phase is a process where your body doesn't need food or drink anymore. We call it going inward. And so they are asleep the whole time. And we always kind of notice those things because those things can start showing up months before someone passes away.
Yes. So actually, my grandmother passed away a couple years ago, and they had to go into hospice care, and so she died, peacefully in the home. But the hospice team gave my grandfather like documentation on that kind of thing, and he was like, "Oh, she's been dying for a long time, and like we're just not aware." So can you give us more details of like what does that entail?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, since I'm not a nurse, right? I'm a medical social worker, but I'm not checking vitals. Right. So the vitals would tell us things are trending downward. Either a high rate of heartbeats, so super high. That means, to my understanding, the body is filling up with CO2 because it's not getting enough oxygen, which is the normal process. So I'm not checking those things, right? I'm looking for nonverbal signs of pain, so make sure that our folks are really comfortable. But I'm not checking the medical data.
Yeah.
So for me, it's when eating and drinking stops. And here in the South, that is such a hard one for families.
Yeah.
Because if you're eating well, you're doing well, right?
Yeah.
And that's also, I think, how we love on people.
Right. Absolutely.
And so eating and drinking is, for me, the biggest one. But the part of our brain that experiences hunger and thirst, it goes to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's not, okay, back to your question. Going inward, less interactive with their outside world. So maybe they're not tracking with their eyes anymore. Maybe they're not smiling anymore. Maybe they're just kind of looking but not really seeing.
Right.
But there's a phrase that we use, and we're talking specifically about the dying process as it applies to old age.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay? Because then if we're looking at different diagnoses, terminal illness, that is a different ballgame.
Right. Yeah.
Your cancer patient's not going to look like a 98-year-old with dementia.
Right.
Or a heart patient's not going to look like the 98-year-old with dementia.
Right.
So there's some wild cards mixed in with all that. So eating less, sleeping more. There's a phrase that we use called, back to your point, there's a phrase we use called once an adult, twice a child.
Interesting.
And so we kind of revert back to ways that, babies sleep a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And so when we're at that stage, we sleep a lot too, kind of all the time. And so then the active stages, they're asleep all the time. You may notice someone's eyes open or someone's mouth opens. And it's a sign that they're very comfortable, but also those muscles let go. My favorite phrase to kind of talk about during all of this is we leave what no longer serves us.
Right.
And so we leave our bodies when it doesn't serve us anymore. We leave oxygen when it doesn't serve us anymore. We leave food when it doesn't serve us anymore. And so those muscles let go. We call it fish breathing or open mouth breathing. And so but it's a sign that they're very relaxed.
Yeah.
And awareness, we don't really know. But what I do know scientifically is that one of the last things to stop working in our body is our hearing.
Interesting.
So we can hear.
I had no idea.
That's so cool, kind of.
It's super cool.
So if you're laying there and your relatives and loved ones are talking to you, it's
you can hear it.
You can.
Scientifically, on paper, you can hear it.
Yeah. Very cool.
Awareness, I don't know.
Right. What your
I say that we have 1 foot here, 1 foot somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then the last final push. So as someone, fish breathing, laying comfortably, the periods, we call it apneic breathing. So periods of apnea. So there will be more and more time between each breath because, again, they don't need oxygen anymore like me and you.
Right.
And so you'll see what's called accessory muscles when they breathe. So you and I, we do it so easily we don't even think about it. But as someone needs less and less, remember it takes more and more energy for them to breathe each time. And so you'll see more muscles move when they take a breath. Okay. And that's another sign that we know we're getting closer.
Yeah.
And then the brain will flood with all of the best juices, if you will.
Yeah.
So dimethyltryptamine, which is DMT, it's the spirit molecule. That's where you get the hallucinations, the life review. You get people talking to dead loved ones. We call it visioning. And so that's how we also know that we're getting closer. There's dopamine. There is a chemical released in the brain that make all of the neurons go nuts, but it's not randomized. It's it knows what to do.
Yeah.
Serotonin is flooded. So our brains protect us from that. Or I don't know that it's protecting you from something. I think it's just part of the process.
Right. Yeah, which is so interesting because like we know about like all the hormones that are released when you have a child during childbirth. And like I remember taking, childhood psychology and kind of like the development of the brain and all of the things that like evolution has evolved so that the body is self-sustainable, right? It wants to heal itself. It wants to be thriving.
Right.
But I have never been taught
the parallels between birth and death
life
are actually insane.
Yeah.
There's a couple examples that I use, especially because, like I said, people have a hard time with the food. But for moms, they've usually been told right before they give birth they're not supposed to eat anything. Do you know why? It's because they want all of the energy in that body to go towards one thing. Right?
Digestion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It will divert energy
Yeah.
to digesting food. The body at end of life is the exact same way.
Right.
We want that body to shut down in a way that it is comfortable to them.
Yeah.
And so if you divert energy,
it
disrupts that process.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
That makes sense. And then the body just kind of knows what to do because it's like, you're not hungry anymore. We don't need this.
It goes to sleep.
We're gonna focus.
That part goes to sleep.
Oh my God, that's
wild.
And
it's focused on, in theory, based on the chemicals and the hormones that you're saying are active, making end-of-life pleasurable.
Oh, I tell some families if they're really strict, because I think we personalize our, what else would you do, right? Like you are seeing a loved one on their deathbed and you look at, that person so well. And so you're looking at every twitch, every gasp, everything that makes you fearful. That is always our fear, right? That someone has regrets or shame or...
Yes.
And so if they're fearful of that, they're thinking about it, they project that onto what they're seeing and they connect to the two things.
Right.
But they're not connected.
Right.
And
they're
so
creating a narrative that's not based in reality.
It just, their fear is speaking, right? Their fear is speaking more,
what they're
100%.
Yeah.
It's making that connection. But the reality is they're not connected.
Yeah.
And so that's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you navigate that with the family and how do you prep someone for the grief? Because, for example, I know that like my mom started to see a therapist when we found out that Alex was using heroin and she's like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to someone. And so she actually did a lot of grief work before because, you know, the statistics are so high that it's going to end, you know, in death and things like that. So she did a lot of the grief work prepping, probably the 8 months before that he did pass away. So then it was really interesting for the grief to kick in a different way and almost feel like that, you know, the sense of relief that you get, and then you kind of feel guilty. Like, it's very
that combo,
complex.
The relief. I touch on that quite a bit.
Very complex. So yeah, what does that look like leading up to a death and then after with the loved ones?
I think we can prepare as much as we can.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But the last part of that preparation is living it. Mm-hmm. And so what I tell families is, I need you to not try to anticipate who you're going to be when this happens. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing to say is the version of us that will meet that moment doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think people are so scared. Like, my experience was like, I'm so scared I'm going to not be able to make it through. Like, it's going to be so painful. And then you're impressed by how strong you are and how resilient the mind is, and honoring the space and like the intense feelings of the grief that you get, and knowing that it's like, it is not linear. You're going up, down, up, down, up, down forever in a way.
Always.
Because it's like, it sneaks up on you. And so I think that's a really beautiful way to put it. Like,
the version
you
of us
will arrive when the moment arrives.
The version of us that will survive it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good one.
Grief of losing someone that you love is so layered, right? Because, like, of course you're grieving the loss of them, but you're grieving the good memories, you're grieving the bad memories, you're grieving the regrets, you're grieving like every single
you're grieving what could have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially if that comes from a complex relationship, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you grew up with an alcoholic mom.
Yeah.
And so when she passes away, you're grieving the recovery that could have happened, the person she could have been, right? And so it is so complex, but every aspect of it is completely normal.
Yeah.
I tell folks, as long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody else, there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah. Can you talk through a little bit of, I know that there's like the stages of grief and whatever, which we don't need to like go through exactly, but like, what do you say to them also with like, I know that grief is so complex, like it can be so heavy and in your face, and then it maybe cycles out and you feel okay. And like, I know even over the years since my brother has died, some years when it comes to like the anniversary and the holidays, some are easier than others. Or like, I especially remember when it was super, super fresh for the first 3 years, I would get days where I would allow myself to just lay in bed for a whole day and be like, I'm sad. It hits me today. I'm going to lay in bed and be sad. But for people to feel like they're not going to get stuck, or that it is normal for that cycling to happen.
100%. So first thing always out of my mouth, and it's a super cheesy quote, but I feel like it's the summary of it is perfect. Grief is just love that has no place to go.
I love that.
And so one of my biggest influences when I was in graduate school, and then even now, she talks about ambiguous loss, but she talks about it in the sense of pre-death.
Okay.
And so one of the pillars in my practice and a lot of newer grief counselors is this idea of closure. And I am of the mindset and that closure isn't real.
Yeah.
Closure's not real. We want it to be.
Yeah. We're romanticizing it.
Right. We want to close that book and move on.
We want to be able to wrap things up in a pretty little bow and put them away in our, brain attic and leave them there. But that's not real.
Yeah.
And especially if you love somebody, right?
Yes.
How could that possibly be real? And so the only way that we get closure is if that person comes back.
Right.
So we just get used to this hole.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. And so I think normalizing that aspect instead of someone believing that there is something to achieve here, that, okay, maybe in a year I'll feel differently.
Right.
But the reality is, no, you won't.
Right.
You just get used to what that hole feels like.
Yes. And you can manage it better and become more aware. Okay.
I have a weird question that might reveal that I'm a monster, but
okay, let's hear it, Chelsea.
So I will say I am blessed. I haven't lost a partner, a sibling, a parent. So I haven't lost someone who's like in my central orbit. but I've lost lots of family members, grandparents, friends, cousins. And like, I am sad, but the grief I carry is more for the people who were closer to them, because I'm like, well, that person is like really removed from your daily life. And that has to be so hard. And so when I grieve, I'm grieving for them. But for me, I always have just felt like including with my grandma, like she's not gone. It's just like it was before. I'm just not physically with her right now.
Yeah.
Like it was like if she was at her house and I was at my house, like I wasn't with her. To me, it just feels the same. And so like, I don't know if that, like I said, am I a monster? But I'm just, and part of that is my spiritual practice and belief, right? Like she's not gone, she's everywhere or whatever. But I'm just wondering, like, is that normal? Do other people feel that way? Because I feel so detached, I think, from like the grief I see other people experiencing. Like even with, I lost a friend in college who committed suicide, and it was heartbreaking, and I was very sad. But I was like, was his path. This was whatever. And he's good in the next place where he is. But then seeing people who didn't even know him as well as I did, like just losing it.
Yeah.
And just struggling so much. And I'm just like, I don't know if I understand that.
I think there's always, and I recently, it's funny we're talking about this, but it's not funny. That's why I'm here.
I mean, also life is funny and death can be funny too, right?
Oh my
Yes,
God.
1,000%.
So they ended up adding part of our, we have a care plan that we have to work and all this stuff. They added a humor like intervention for me specifically.
Oh my God, tell us more.
So yeah, I am a jokester. I mean, but that's also life review, sharing stories, finding the humor in places. I had a professor in college that told me that if you can turn something satirical, that means you deeply understand it. And so if you can find hope and humor in places that it's very dark, I think that's healthy. My red flags for folks, though, are avoidance. Right. So if they're in this moment and they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to be around that person, that's when I know that we need to do something different. But if you are interacting with the moment, I tell folks, I don't need you to be best friends with the elephant in the room, but I do need you to say its name. Right. And so again, with that same sort of closure aspect, my practice is acceptance versus acknowledgement, right? I don't need you to accept that your mother's dying, but I do need you to acknowledge it. To me, acceptance is synonymous with being okay with. And I would never expect someone to be okay with that. So that's too much of an ask on my end therapeutically. So I just need you to acknowledge it. And as long as you're doing that, the interacting with her, saying death out loud, saying what we're doing out loud, that to me is acknowledgement. Because what it also does is if someone is completely avoidant of it, it leaves that person in their dying experience completely alone. They are now experiencing this on an island inside of their own body without their family getting taught. They want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're experiencing it right now.
They want to talk about it.
We can't ignore it. It's happening.
I remember one family specifically. It was the wife was my patient, and she was a longtime teacher in her community, taught elementary school, very loved. And she had 2 grown daughters and her husband. And, they were just doting on her left and right, and she was completely at peace. She knew what was happening, but they were afraid to talk to her about it. And so there was this moment where I was alone with her and I said, "Are you afraid?" And she said, "No, I'm not.
That's so beautiful.
I'm ready." So what I was able to do is the husband and the daughters were sitting out back on the porch in the sunshine. And I walked out and I said, "Guys, this is what she just told me." And it was like you could feel the weight of that house just completely lift off. And so then they weren't afraid to talk to her about it anymore.
I love that.
That would be a hard dynamic though too. Like because I have type 1 diabetes and a chronic illness. So like I wouldn't just want anyone to be like, "Hey, let's talk about your diabetes." You know what I mean? So like unless I'm opening that door to the people who I want to talk about it with.
Right. And this is, the fact that I'm involved at all in the hospice world means that there's acknowledgement there, right? Like we walk in the door knowing
you're here because it's happening.
Because it's happening, right? And so, that was one of my most, I think about her a lot. That was one of my most favorite. I walked away from that day feeling like, man, I did it.
Yeah.
I served
that.
I served where I was supposed to serve.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a difference in your patients, the ones that like are at peace with death coming versus ones that maybe do hold more fear?
Yeah.
What is the ratio that you've seen? What are the characteristics that are common?
There are circumstantial stuff. So it depends on which disease, right? And so
tell me more.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So I do a lot of research on the patients that have a moment where they are told curative treatment no longer works. So think like cancer, right? There is a point in their journey where it says, this doesn't serve you anymore. It's actually hurting you, right?
Yeah.
So that is such a mind shift, right? And so I think that if that part is not addressed, not facilitated in terms of the processing, and then you have, on the other hand, you have a 98-year-old with dementia, right? I don't know that person in the way that they were when they were younger.
Right.
So they're a little bit more go with the flow sometimes. And if they do vocalize fear, it's mostly fear of pain more so than it is fear of anything past that.
Yeah.
But there's those moments where with the cancer patient, with someone who tried to get well, and then it switches. That moment it's a completely different trajectory at that point.
That's such a heavy moment.
Yeah. Does timeline make a difference too? Like if you've known for longer or had a disease for longer than someone who finds out they have 3 months?
Maybe. But it's more like, how long did they try?
Sure.
Right. How long were they in treatment prior? How long did they have this hope that they were going to heal or get better, or at least get to a point where they could function without this?
Yes. So what they were at.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
And so that in itself changes everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The ones that get me are the 30-year-olds with colon cancer, or, the ones that are very young, because to me, it's a true robbery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They were sold a lemon in the body they were given. But then I have the 98-year-olds. I have two patients that are 102 right now.
Wow.
We had one at one point that was 107.
Whoa.
Which then becomes a whole new problem where they've outlived their assets.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us expect to live that long.
No.
Right?
That's wild.
Crazy.
What's the secret?
Yeah.
I love it when people are like, I smoke cigarettes every day and drink Dr. Pepper. I'm like,
I eat a ham sandwich for every meal for every day.
I think it's just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
I think genetics play a huge piece in it. I think lifestyle choice, of course. But sometimes I think there's just something random that happens.
Yeah. That's wild.
So to answer your question, I think it's just so specific to each person.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Just think it's so specific.
Not to make it about me again. But
please do.
That's what it's about.
I think for me, I got type 1 diabetes when I was 10. So there's a risk of me dying every single day in a different, there's a risk of everyone dying every day, car accidents, whatever happen. But I think when you have a chronic illness.
Yeah, that's external though. This is internal. So that's just different.
Yeah, we're and whatever. So I think I've been thinking about death and my death since I was 10 years old. So I imagine someone like me who just it's at the forefront of your mind from the time you're a child, that it's probably very different when you do get to an end time, if it's not in my sleepover, right?
Yeah.
Versus somebody who's never had to be faced with that with their own body.
I want to share too in my own breath, because I have a similar but yet totally different experience. So I've had a lot of death in my life. My biological father passed away when I was 5. And then it's I've had grandparents, my peers in school, almost one person died a year for this weird little stent. friends, a lot of like drug use issues. And so it's just been like a lot. And so I think it's really interesting because my dad dying when I was 5, one, instilled this like abandonment wound that will be a forever journey of healing.
Yeah.
But like I started thinking about death a lot when I was young, but it is in more of that external way of like, I'm not ready. It can come so abruptly, all of these things. And so I think that that's really interesting because I feel like both of us at a young age have had to think about death and end of life and things not, things being finite in the physical realm, I guess, but for totally different reasons.
Yeah.
And different fears and different experiences there.
This is one of my most favorite parts of loss is that that's the one guarantee for all of us.
Absolutely.
We will experience it ourselves, of course, but it's also no matter what, we will lose somebody. And so if you think about like the peer-to-peer therapeutic relationship, right? So that's why AA works. It's because it's peer-to-peer.
Community. Yeah.
But it's someone in the world that sees you and understands.
Yes.
So if you think about that in the grief and loss world, you can walk into any room on this entire planet and there will be someone in that room that knows exactly how you feel.
Yeah. And grief can feel so isolating. At the same time too, like you're saying, you walk into a room and it's guaranteed that someone has felt it, but it's something that we rarely talk about. And so it can feel so alone.
So we are all connected in that experience.
Yeah.
No matter where we live, no matter where we're from, we are connected in that experience. And so just to talk about it more, there's connections that we don't even know are going to be there, right?
Definitely. And I want to circle back to you mentioning ambiguous loss. I want to share, before you explain to everybody like what it is and like from your clinical background, when I went through my brother dying in 2021, sounds really dramatic, but February 2021, let's set the stage, worst month of my life. I turned 30. And so I was like mourning my youth. And I like, that sounds silly, but it hit me hard. It started a few weeks before and it was rough. And then my wedding anniversary was the day after my birthday, and that's when I told my ex-wife, I think we should get divorced, and so we decided to end our marriage. And then 10 days later, my brother passed away. So it was a lot of grief work all at once, and with the background of like having death so young and having that anxious attachment style and fear of abandonment, mostly through death, I was very triggered and had a very intense response to all of those things. And it led me to what I call death work, is what I call it, but the practice of impermanence. And that what you just said, like loss is inevitable. That is the only constant. You can call it change is the only constant in life, but like relationships end, jobs end, your pets die, phases of things that your habits like may serve you and then maybe they don't, and you switch trajectory, whether it's based on like an injury or whatever. So you've got all these different like micro griefs throughout your life. And so I think that that's really interesting because it has helped me become more present in my day-to-day life and not detach, but hold a healthier level of attachment to certain people and things, knowing that I can't squeeze it and be like, I want to keep it right here the whole time because of my anxiety. So it's really helped me with that, which is an ongoing journey. But so I'd love to circle back to you saying that there's ambiguous loss, because I think that that's something that we don't really talk about. And I think that people aren't processing their emotions with those kinds of things. Things can then stagnate. And so I'd love for you to share all
if you
the
looked
things
at it
about that.
under the lens of a loss and grief and how, so, the lady, somebody came up with all of the 5 stages, whatever. Yeah. Forgive me, I don't remember who. But we know that they don't happen sequentially. We know that that you kind of oscillate through all of them.
It's not linear.
Not linear. Not like, now I'm done with anger and now
I'm
moving acceptance. It's not like you may, oscillate between 3 in a minute. Like, super normal.
Which is important to hold compassion for yourself during that moment. Because I think I put pressure on myself of like, I've got to feel better. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. That
is not the case. Like it is a cycle. It isn't linear. It's an ongoing journey forever and ever.
There's a guided imagery I do with families. And it's about those big moments of grief.
Mm.
I can do it with y'all in a minute if you want.
I'd love that.
So back to your question.
Yes.
Ambiguous loss. So it was coined by Dr. Pauline Boss, who I am like the biggest fangirl of
I
all
love
time.
it.
I got to hear her speak at a conference when I was in graduate school and immediately became obsessed with her.
Yeah.
So a lot of her work is related to dementia and caring for someone with dementia. And so for her, there are two kinds of ambiguous loss.
Okay.
One is physical presence with psychological absence.
Okay.
So that would be your dementia. That would be addiction. That would be this. And so she calls it this ever revolving door. And it's this door where someone may choose to step back in or they may come back to us psychologically. So that theme also plays out in physical absence, the second kind, with psychological presence. And that would be your missing in action, lost at sea.
Yeah.
So these losses that maybe they'll come back, people kidnapped, people taken, people, that maybe they'll come back.
Right.
And so that is also an ever revolving door that remains open. And so we leave it open.
Yeah, that's hard.
Right.
Oof.
So there are two kinds.
Okay.
So and she puts, pet loss, to me, that's like, it's gone. They're gone.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But they never talk to us, right?
I don't know.
I'm with English mouth words. Mine talk to me too, but yeah. So that's your breakups. That's the things that aren't a death. And I wanted to touch on this too. That I feel like sometimes we're so judgmental of ourselves when it comes to grieving, because it's like, should I be allowed to do this? In the sense of
so
like
uncomfortable.
And we compare ourselves to other people when they're grieving. We're also kind of grieving, but maybe we're not doing it as much as they are. Or should I have a bigger reaction?
Yeah.
Should I have a less reaction?
Yeah.
And it's a box we don't need to put ourselves in.
Yeah.
It's feeling your feelings, dude.
Yeah.
And letting that be what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grief can look like a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes with the comparison, we may be comparing ourselves to someone who's doing more performative grief and like doing what they think they're supposed to versus like actually processing.
There's a grief author that I really love. His name's Tim Lawrence, but he talks about platitudes that are shared when someone is experiencing a loss and they don't know what to say. So the one that I hate, and he does too, is it happens for a reason.
Oh, no.
No, ma'am.
Don't say that to me.
No, ma'am. Because then that belittles someone's grief and it makes them question what they did to deserve.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, what's the reason?
Yes.
What did I do wrong that this person was taken from me?
And that's what a lot of therapists have told me about experiencing death so young, is that a lot of times children have a hard time like comprehending it and grasping it. So then they're like, something is wrong with me, that like my parent died or something like this, because they don't, and they take it and internalize it.
They don't have higher levels of processing because their brain is underdeveloped, right?
And so it took me a lot of therapy as an adult to be like, oh.
So the only thing they know how to do is maybe blame themselves.
Yes.
Right, because when you're 5, your world revolves around you. So anything that happens in your life is because of something you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the world is so much bigger than that.
Yeah. And I think that the words, so I actually really like that you're talking about like verbiage that we pick, because I did this masterclass. And it's The Art of Negotiation. I forget the author's name, but he ended up writing a book called How to Split the Difference. He is an ex-CIA like hostage negotiator, but he emphasized how important it is for verbiage too, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing that I really took from that is like he talked about active listening and mirroring and things like that. And instead of being like, I hear you, da-da-da-da-da, making it you-centric, instead of saying something like, it sounds like,
Yeah.
keeping you as the focus, giving you more of the empowerment to be like, well, actually, that's not what I meant.
Right.
And like a less confrontational way.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really good feedback, because I think a lot of people, especially with like certain spiritual practices, will be like, well, everything does happen for a reason. And maybe we need to reframe how we're trying to show compassion to someone.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure their intention isn't to belittle them.
Right.
No,
But it does.
I think there's this pressure to fill space.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
with words that mean nothing.
Mhm.
And, you know, again, back to like my plan of care in the
Yeah.
clinical world, one of my interventions is presence.
Right.
And that's not me saying a single word.
Yes.
That is not me teaching them how to do something different. That is
Mhm.
literally just being there.
Yes. And I think that can be so uncomfortable for people too, like sitting in that silence.
Mhm.
And it's
I think
just like,
people
just
feel
let it cook.
the need to, I think they want to relieve that person of
Yeah.
feelings. And they maybe think that if they did that with words, it would help them. But
Mhm.
the reality is just showing up,
Mhm.
physically being
Yeah.
a witness to this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've already done everything you
Right.
need to
Right.
do.
Yeah. And I think the parallel of that in like day-to-day life is when like a friend is expressing some sort of something and we jump right into problem-solving mode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it's not about finding a solution. It's just like, yeah, that sucks.
Right.
And just, I see you. We're holding space.
Yeah.
And I think that,
Early in my career, I was trying to fix everything.
yes.
And
Because that's, I feel
it
like, the natural
annoyed the
response.
shit out of my friends.
Yeah.
And I've gotten so much better with that. Plus, I was wearing myself out.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
It's
it's
exhausting.
exhausting.
And then when people don't listen to what you say, it's even extra exhausting. And you're just like, why did I even?
Yeah.
So, you know, now I'm good with, what do you need from me?
Yes.
Do you need a
Yes.
listener? Do you need a problem solver? Or you just want me to tell you that blows,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Do you want me to validate you? So I've got, and so that comes with time. I think it comes with experience in my world, right? And I think that just generally we get better at that when we
Yeah.
get older.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But no, I was wearing myself out and annoying the shit out of my friends. Let me fix everything.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we don't want that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, it's better just to say, like, I don't know what to say right
Yeah.
now, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, I heard someone say, this was something on TikTok where it was just, you know, they were saying that if you don't call me when things are bad, to me, you're allow me the honor to be in that moment with you. And I just love that.
Yeah,
We
that's
talked about
beautiful.
that in our friendship episode that came out this week of just, like, you have to let people show up for you too and find a way to be open and allow that into your life.
It's not weak.
Yeah, I know. And it's a part of the human experience, right? Like community is
We
so
need each other.
important. Yeah.
What was it Mother Teresa said? We were made for each other.
Yeah.
We
It's
belong
true.
to each other is
Yeah.
what she said.
Because think about how harmful isolation is.
Yeah.
I mean, horrible.
There's chemically in our brains, we need people. We need each other.
Yeah.
My favorite is Ram Dass, his quote that we're all just walking each other home.
Oh, I love
good.
that.
It's so good.
Cute.
It's so sad.
That got me. That got me. That got me. That got me.
But it's true. I mean, we've been talking about it this whole
Yeah.
conversation of, like, when you're born, you're immediately dying. Like, we're all just walking each other home.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sorry, I still get uncomfortable
It's okay.
sometimes with those things.
You're
It's
safe.
not linear.
Safe spot.
I know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think too with children, there's a level of resilience I think that we lose as we get older because our brains develop and we try to process everything, but kids don't have that. And so there is a level of just accepting what's happening
Yeah.
that we as adults cannot do.
That's interesting.
I see kids that are just like, okay, this sucks, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I talk about that
Yeah.
all the time. I don't have it as much of experience with death, but with divorce. My parents got divorced when I was 5. I didn't know the difference.
I was
I didn't
13.
know that you
Yeah.
didn't, like, move out of the house with your mom and, like,
Yeah.
just carry on a totally different life. But then my friends whose parents got divorced when they were, like, in high school, college, like, their lives blew up.
Yeah.
They were so angry and, like, just
Yeah.
could not deal. And I'm like, y'all are adults. Like, your parents got divorced. Who cares? And it's just such a different
Because it was normalized for you so much earlier than it was for those other
Yeah,
folks.
I think that's something that, I mean, a lot of people experience. So I'd love for either of y'all to share a little bit more of like how did you support your friends through that? Or what did you find that they went through? Or like you going through it at an older age than that.
13.
Yeah,
10
like,
days
what
before
did-
my 13th birthday.
Oh, see, and you remember it was
Yeah.
like bad core memory. You're like,
Yeah, see,
I
I
know
don't
down to the
remember
day. It
dates,
was a
no.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what does that look like?
That one I'm still working through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I hold anger or resentment or hurt from it, but it crops up in ways that I maybe just didn't. Like, you're older, but like you don't really understand shit anyway when you're 13, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
your body's changing, things are weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the hormones.
Like arguably it couldn't have been worse for me in that
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah.
I was weird.
Yeah.
Already.
Especially that age, if you're
Yeah.
With or
moving
without
and
that.
changing schools and all of that.
Yeah,
associated with it,
absolutely.
like-
And children are just savages. I mean, like,
Savages.
I mean, that's one deterrent of why I'm like, am I going to ever have kids? I mean, like, kids are brutal.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
they're very honest.
So, anyway.
So yeah, I think that type of loss, it's just so it's completely interesting that you having it at 5 versus me having it at 13, completely different experiences.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't even like have memories really of my parents doing anything together, or like all three of us.
Yeah.
Like all of my memories of my parents are separate.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. And so it was very normal for you. That was your
I
normal.
mean, I'm not saying it like, I'm sure there was plenty before I was 5. I just like,
yeah.
there's so many more after that it just like that was just normal. That's
Yeah.
what we did. I say the same thing. I work sometimes with recently diagnosed type 1 diabetics, and the parents of the youngest children always take it the hardest. And I tell them, you are so lucky. Your child will only know life with diabetes. And they're like, that's why I'm so sad. And I'm like, no, this is the best.
Yeah.
Their life is going to be so much easier.
Because there's not
Someone
like
who
a
gets
big
it
abrupt.
right. Or
Yeah.
30. Like imagine being 30 years old
Huge lifestyle
and
change.
getting type 1 diabetes.
That's a
Right.
great point.
That would be
Right.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have, they have the process built in,
Right.
you know, when they're young.
Yeah, and they're healthier.
Yep.
Like I got it when I was 10, 11. Like I was already rebellious. So like there were years where I just didn't
Right, 'cause
do what
that's
I
your-
was supposed to.
Right. That's the nature of being 10.
Yeah.
Which is normal.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. So I get that with like grief and death. I mean, that's a kind of grief too, right?
Definitely.
But
So yeah, I think my grandmother, she had 9 siblings. The youngest, I think it was 9.
Big family.
So the youngest ended up being the same age as my father. So his uncle, they were the same age.
Yeah.
So with that, I grew up going to funerals,
Ugh.
right? And so just kind of, I have memories of seeing my grandmother in a casket. And I remember she was beautiful. I mean, it just was what it was. I have very strong opinions about burial and all of that, but I think that helped me normalize it.
yeah.
And so then it was the bridging the pieces of like, how did they get to that point? What did that look like?
Yeah. My dad's family.
Which you can see I'm a little triggered. I avoid funerals.
Okay.
I usually don't go.
Okay.
I'm like, I love you. I'll be there for you in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
mean,
going.
funerals to me are for the people, not the person.
I know, but
Right?
it's just,
Like-
it's all very bizarre for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
It depends on like the religion.
we
and
got to
stuff,
sit with
too.
that some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Culturally, there's groups of folks that will do burial all the time, viewing all the time. That's just what is normal for
I
them.
grew up, and my dad's family's Catholic, so that
Yeah.
is just what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ate some food, you
Yep.
looked at the body.
Some cultures have rules around how quickly the body goes in the ground.
Right.
And then there's other cultures that it is cremation, but the eldest son has to be a part of when they go into the crematory.
Interesting.
So, and
Fascinating.
yep. So there's all kinds of different ways that we do
Yeah.
that.
I'd like to know, speaking of those things, have you noticed a difference in, the families that you've worked with, the ones that do have those after death rituals that are very ingrained in their spiritual practices? Have you noticed them, having a gentler time with that versus maybe the ones that don't have that background and don't have those practices?
It's less to do, I think, with the practices and more to do what that person set up before they died.
Okay.
So I had a patient that wrote down what songs
Right.
that were to
Yeah.
be played.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it helped. Then
That's beautiful.
that family, they didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
anything because she had
It's
already
just
done
execution.
it. And so I think that is the most important thing that we can give someone that we love.
Yeah.
Is that if we map that shit out before we die, that's what we need to do.
I love that.
And so so there is a script, right? Depending on the culture, but depending on what's normal for your family. But you know, I have an advanced directive. I've had it since I was 23 years old. Which is in the state of Georgia, that's what took place of the living will. It doesn't require a notary, and it doesn't have to go through any type of court. So that details, you know, if I were to go into a coma, how long do they keep me, you know, running before, and mine's 30 days, right? So if there's no brain activity in 30 days, pull that shit.
Yeah.
If I want burial or cremation, and then you get to name 3 people that are your spokesperson. And that's it. And you make copies of it and you give it out to everybody. And it doesn't. So I've had that since I was 23. When I was younger, it was my mom or my dad that would be the first person. With my brother thrown in that mix, now it's my husband. And so it costs nothing to have that now. And then of course, as we get older, it's the DNR question.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is a tough one. I have folks that come on hospice that are still full code. They want to be resuscitated.
Yes.
And so then having that discussion with them becomes a different.
Yeah. What kind of conversation does that look like?
Again, it's just dependent on the patient.
Yeah.
So if it's a very frail elderly person, CPR would literally kill them.
Yeah, it's very aggressive.
Because you think about it, and the example I always give is you have to think about a 250-pound paramedic coming in this house, and the chest has to be compressed 2.5 inches. And they're going to break her sternum. They're going to break her ribs. And if she's already going, is that what you want her to experience?
Right.
Yeah. And the answer is no.
Right.
And once they start, they cannot stop. Anytime anyone initiates CPR, they cannot stop.
I didn't know that part. Oof. Yeah, that's very traumatic for the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unnecessary.
Yeah. And it's interesting you're saying that, like, well, because sometimes other people can make that decision for you on your behalf. I read a book after my brother died. I read a lot of death books, and one of my favorite ones was The Lost Art of Dying. We'll drop it in the comments. I forget the author's name, but she's an MD, and she talks about an experience she had with an elderly patient and, you know, their children being like, resuscitate, like, we must do this. And it's like they went through the process of resuscitating this man 3 different times. It was so traumatic when, like, the body was ready to go.
Let it go.
And, you know, she made the connection between how people used to die in their homes and it be like a whole visitation of people coming to see you before you die, and just this whole ritual of, you know, leading up to the actual death versus, you know, especially in our Western society where we have like this God complex of like, the doctors are going to save me and death is something to be so afraid of. And so we take all of these interventions and we're not doing any prep work or you normalizing the conversation of death. So it's something that is so scary. We don't know what to do. We're avoiding it. We're running from it.
Right.
And just that whole process. So her argument is just about how, like, the art of normalizing it and like the art of living well is the art of dying well. And how do we go back to the roots of, you know, older cultures than our own here in America, where the art of dying was so much different and accepted and talked about.
Right.
And
I mean,
normalized.
think about like the Vikings in Valhalla. That's cool as shit. Like,
okay, tell us. Not everyone will know what that is.
Oh my God. The Vikings put me in a cool ass little canoe, shoot me off the shore, and then you shoot a fire arrow, and light me on fire. Sick.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's very epic.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, but there's that societal acceptance that this is an honor. This is like the greatest thing that can happen to a person. Moment that's so hard.
Yeah. And I think too, like, in our society, we don't value the wisdom of the elderly like we do in like other cultures do. And I think we do so much of like anti-aging, which I am absolutely guilty of. I'm like, I will not miss a Botox appointment. I will do everything I can not to like age. And, you know, that's also rooted a little deeper in some death things too. But I think that also can make the journey even harder because our own fears make us avoid acceptance of aging and like the elderly in our lives. And then we're just kind of excusing them and dismissing them and not valuing the life and the experiences and the wisdom they've gained through their journey. And it's very complex.
It is. And I mean, I'm kind of the wild card here because I, at 23, was spending time with elderly folks. And that's
Which is fascinating because what 23-year-old is like, I want to do that.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah. No, and I love that. It's like you were born to do it. You are on the journey and the path.
I
like
just think, there's so much to be learned. And one of the pillars of sort of why I'm doing this is I read a book when I was in high school called A Brief History of the Dead.
Okay.
And
I'll link it. Read it.
Nonfiction. And so it's about, it is in fact fiction. It's about this city that after we die, this is where we go. So it's not heaven, it's not hell. It's the in-between. And so if a baker dies, a bakery pops up in this city.
Oh, I love that.
And so you live in this city until the last person on earth dies that remembers you. And then you get to move on.
Interesting.
And so what I took away from that was I essentially get to help people live forever.
I love that.
Because I'm being told stories for maybe the last time they're ever told from the person that lived it. And now they live in my brain.
Incredibly beautiful.
And now I get to tell people about them.
Yeah.
And then they live in their brain. And then
wow.
Yeah.
That's
wow. I'm going to Prozac cry, which is just the essence of a tear. Wow, that's so empowering.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world,
Yeah.
right? I had a patient in early days when I was in my internship, and he had a donkey when he was growing up. And I remember this, and I was like, what was the donkey's name? And he goes, Tony. But that I don't know that he talked about the donkey as he got closer to death. And now I have that.
Yeah.
That's mine now.
I hope
I
he's
love
like a
that.
donkey herder.
Yeah.
In the city.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, that's the takeaway.
That's stunning. I love that. I want to switch a little bit to beliefs in afterlife too. I like the reference of the book you just made. I'm going to add that to my list to read.
It's a short guy. It's lovely.
I love it because I read, and these are nonfiction. In my death reading phase, I read 2 books written by very prestigious hypnotherapists. And one of them, Many Lives, Many Masters, I believe is what it's called, talked a lot about the regression therapy and past life therapy and how past lives can impact certain ailments and stagnant energy and stuff in the present life. And then the other one called The Journey of Souls talked about more of that liminal space where you're this DMT molecule is what's allowing you to have that whole your replay of the life, and then you see the loved ones. And so it talks about all of these different studies that the hypnotherapist, which I loved the alignment because I went into it very skeptical actually and was and the overlap that they had with their experience over hundreds and hundreds of patients was incredible. But that liminal space of what happens when you die and the process that all of these people from so many different cultures were experienced this getting sucked up, this welcoming, their loved ones were there. They then go to their little pod of we've got our soul pods that we, have lifetime over lifetime over lifetime. And we're reviewing the lessons that we learned. Were we successful? What do we get to repeat in the next one? And da-da-da-da-da and all of these things. So I'd love to hear in general, your take on the afterlife.
I feel like I'm going to be a little disappointing here.
That's fine because some people are it's nothing.
I don't know. So I believe in nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe that when we die, that's it. It's over. Oblivion.
Okay.
And something about that is very comforting to me.
Sure.
I think the fact that I won't have to be aware and process, and that's like that it's just
True peace.
it's just over.
Yeah.
So that to me is appealing. But I also think that deep down, maybe part of me is trying to set realistic expectations for something I don't know about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with either.
Yeah.
I'm totally
We'll all find
fine
out
with-
one day.
Yeah.
But I do love, so there's a Buddhist belief that when we die, so when we're born, we're a piece of the whole, a
Yes.
drop from the whole.
Yes.
And so then when we die, our drop rejoins the whole. And it's, it's this sense of going home, of being walked home.
Yeah.
And I like that too.
Yeah.
But maybe so I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm curiously like okay with that.
Yeah.
I think we belong to each other. I think that that's the only thing that we have control over. And I also just think that being a good person and treating others well is what we have control over.
Yeah.
But I do have, and I've been thinking about this more since, we kind of talked about what today would be.
Yeah.
What regrets am I worried about having on my deathbed? And so I think for a long time, what drove me to this type of work was, check. I will be able to lay on my deathbed and I won't have to wonder whether or not I helped another human being, right?
Yeah.
I do that every day.
You do it every day. Yeah.
But what I do think I will have is, what didn't I do for myself? And so that's what I've been kind of thinking about a lot in the last couple of months, is that am I self-sacrificing too much? Am I allowing this to become my whole person? And am I getting lost in the sauce a little bit? I don't think so, but I do think it's something to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, in your reflections, have you been like, oh, maybe I'm going to add a monthly thing or a weekly thing, or like little practices, even day to day, where you're like, I am making time for myself?
I do that on a daily basis, but I think I'm thinking more big picture, like traveling, seeing things that, because it's just been school work. I don't have a passport right now.
Yeah.
Because I haven't needed one.
Right.
I do need one.
Sure.
It's time to.
Then you have the opportunity to, if you want to just be like, we're going. On a whim.
But it's just so not part of my, my thought process on a daily basis. And so I'm trying to really work on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that for me.
Right.
Right.
No, and I think that's really important, because you are not the only one that feels that. So I think sharing that too is going to help people reflect as well, and empower them to make changes, whatever that means to them.
Yeah. I think this idea of self-sacrifice is overrated at times. And, even the verbiage that I talk about my career, it's, I work as a social worker. I am not,
The identity label.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been really working on that too, because I am more than just that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You are. Everyone's more than just what they spend their however many hours a day you work doing. But I think that also sets you up for better ambiguous loss processing, because if your identity is not so deeply tied to something that, like, when that ends and say you decide to retire or like whatever, it can
We
allow
leave
for
what doesn't serve us.
Yeah, a smoother transition of like, whoa, like you have a different independent sense of self.
Yeah.
Versus just your career or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Because that's a big loss too. Like,
yeah.
I've been thinking about that through our whole conversation of like shifting careers, or I know a lot of friends who like thought they would have a family and they haven't been able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And so like,
or even
we get
empty
that
nesters,
loss.
like your kids leave, like they're like, what do I do now?
I mean, it's like when you start saying it out loud, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
But I think if we can reframe that to growing pains,
yes,
as opposed to like a something to mourn,
Yeah.
right? I think that may help it be more normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just always like the idea of growing pains.
Yeah.
Like you're flexing new muscles you never have before. You're learning to do something new, one that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we get to we have these sort of milestones built in where we're going to have to learn how to do something new.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but it's growing pains.
Yeah.
It hurts a little to grow.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Remember when we were growing and you had so many pains in your shins? Do you remember that as a kid?
You didn't go
Like,
very far, did you?
what?
How tall are you?
Oh, barely 5'6". But I'm just saying, like,
that's
you
probably
did
not
have
much.
literal growing pains.
Sure. Yeah.
Or when you had to get braces. I mean, that's not growing, but you
No,
put
that
yourself through
sucked.
paying
No,
for stuff.
yeah.
I had them
And so that it
at 18.
continues. At when?
18.
Braces?
Brutal.
Well, yeah, that's rough.
I never had them. I wanted them. My dad said no.
Oh. Well, I had them and I now need Invisalign because I didn't wear my retainer and I have crowding.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, talking about the growing pains and then like your perspective on death, of like potentially it being nothing and being oblivion. Not that I want to think about like my future as oblivion, but I think I've gotten to a place where like I'm not planning. Like I talk to so many people who are in college or early 20s, mid 20s who are like, I'm going to do this and in 5 years I'm going to do this and I'm going to be married and I'm going to have kids and we're going to have the house and we're going to blah, blah, blah. And like it almost never turns out that way.
Sure.
Every once in a while somebody gets that full dream. But the more you plan things like that, the more growing pains you're setting up for yourself.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah, maybe. I think that to have like a timeline on things is kooky.
Yeah. It's one thing to
It's not
have,
setting
like,
you up for success. That is
Well,
for
it's
sure.
just like do
Things you
things when they
want.
feel right, dude.
Right.
And you can have hopes and desires and dreams.
Absolutely.
And like, what else are we
Setting
doing
those
with our
things
time?
like-
You know what I mean?
And the flexibility is important.
Yeah. And feeling like you failed if you, well, I thought I was going to be married by 30 and I'm not.
That's crazy.
Like those things
Yeah.
that I hear people
yeah.
say.
I think just we're taking that pressure off of ourselves to be this thing that we imagined when we were 18 years old.
Yeah.
Like when
Before
you say it out
most of
loud,
you are
it sounds
thinking for
insane.
yourself.
Right? Yeah.
Right? Like just
Yeah.
be you and grow and do good in the world. And like,
There's so
that's
much
it.
you didn't know when you made that plan. Like now you get to make a new plan.
The version,
Exactly.
yeah, we weren't, the version of us that would do those things doesn't exist
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not, maybe it's still cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's in the crock pot, you know?
I love it.
Slow cooker.
Yeah.
We're all just slow
But
cookers.
really though.
We are.
Yeah.
I'd actually tell families that, listen, we're all just Instapots and sometimes we have to take the pressure lid off. We have to flip the valve. And the
love
way
it.
we do that is talking about the shitty stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to flow out.
Otherwise, we're going to cuss someone out at the grocery store and not know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which brings me to the guided imagery that I do.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Should we do it?
Yeah. So center yourself. Find a spot that feels comfortable. Take a deep breath in. Acknowledge that we live in our bodies and our bodies serve us. And we love them for that. I want you to imagine a moment where you have felt so overcome with a loss that it feels like maybe your chest is tight, your hands are tingling, and there's a hole where that person used to be. But now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that feeling as you are a part of an ocean wave. And so the wave comes through and it crashes against the shore. But what I want you to imagine is that the water is perfectly temperatured. It feels exactly how it's supposed to feel. The sky looks exactly how you want it to look on the most beautiful day you've ever seen. And when that moment of grief comes through and you feel your chest tightening up and you feel that hole where that person used to be, I want you to imagine floating on top of that wave of grief. And you are going to stay with your lungs filled and you can see your toes coming up under the surface. And then the wave will pass us. We're not going to try to fight it. We're not going to try to make it stop coming, because it will come again. But if we float on top of it, we won't go under. I want you to imagine your feet are touching the shore that you're becoming more upright. And as your feet hit the sand, you look up towards the sky and you open your eyes. As you're coming back into this moment, I want you to open your eyes when you're ready.
I love a good visualization. That was so centering.
Yeah?
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's true. It comes in waves.
Comes in waves.
Mm-hmm.
If we try to fight them, we'll just go under. And then that's when I'll tell families, that's when you're going to cuss someone out at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So we can't stop it. So you just have to figure it out.
Yeah. No,
Feel it.
absolutely. And I think even that like visualization, it made me think of like I get panic attacks, and it used to come when I was going through grief more and other things, but I would always fight it and I would always get sucked under, and I had to do so much work with my therapist, which it's so easy to just be like, you just have to accept it. And I'm like, no, I hate this about myself. It's so paralyzing. It's embarrassing. It's all these things. And then it just happened to exactly that. And then I learned to like float and just accept it, and it comes and you honor the space. And so I think that it's applicable for so many different stressors in people's lives to be able to come back to this visualization that you led us through.
Yeah. It's my favorite
To
one.
just bear witness to yourself and float.
And you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing this wrong.
I love that. And I think everyone needs to hear that too. There is no wrong way.
No wrong way.
Like timing works itself out. You're where you need to be, learning the lessons you need to learn, doing the work you need to do.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, before we wrap, I would love to know, I guess, if there's any like final thoughts or takeaways that you would share with anybody about normalizing grief, death, any kind of last thoughts. I mean, I think the visualization was perfect, but any kind of last thoughts that you have?
The biggest takeaway is that nobody's alone. Nobody's by themselves in this.
Yeah.
I love that.
Ever.
That's beautiful.
You have someone to ask how you're supposed to do it or what worked for them, or just knowing that you're not alone in this experience of just living is huge. And you don't have to muscle through it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that death is not scary.
Yeah.
Death can be as beautiful as you make it if you just pay attention.
I love that. Any other thoughts?
I think just adding to it, and we've said this before on other podcasts talking about different things about like, you haven't done this before. Like, it's okay to not know what you're doing and not be an expert at grief or death, loss, or
yes.
Yeah.
like,
None of us have died.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
and
no-
we don't have a memory of it, karma, whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
We don't know.
done this
We don't know,
before
exactly.
at this time on this
Yeah.
planet in this way.
Yeah. But that's kind of exciting.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
It is. It's fun. It's beautiful. It's the human experience. Wow.
Yeah. It's cool too to think like, because we can't report back. I mean, I know we have like near-death experience stuff, but like everyone gets to be a pioneer. of their own.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I mean, I know that also is kind of scary, but like,
No, that's
scary.
really cool. And I like that you said you can make it your own in whatever preparation you want. Like if you get the gift of preparing
Sure.
and stuff,
Yeah.
because that is a privilege. And then I think it's really fun. That just made me think of like, I want all the sparkles, all the
Yes.
silly things, but it's true. I think that that's beautiful that you can, you know, empower yourself and embrace the moment when that time comes, if that's the path for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Because
incredible.
we'll meet it, right? And what brings me comfort is knowing that my body will take care of me.
Yes.
When that
and knows
happens.
what to do.
It knows
We
how
don't have to
do
fight
that.
it, which we tend to do a lot.
I mean, we walk around with the safety net, right? And just reminding ourselves that it knows how to do it.
Yeah.
right. Trust your
It's
body.
built to do it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good reframe for sure.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much. That
This was
was
great.
amazing. I know that everyone will be thrilled to hear and learn something new. And I think really sit with themselves in the space of vulnerability and safety that we just shared. So I think that's contagious and inspiring. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on and share your expertise.
Yes.
I know death is a weird thing for me, and that is really illuminating. I love the new things that I learned from you and your experiences, and I'm really just inspired by you and the work that you've been doing for so long.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
I love being the weirdo at the party that wants to talk about death, you know?
I love it.
Because I think that if we do that more, it won't be so scary.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We end every episode with
It's okay.
with just a quick little we say together, in softness we thrive.
Okay.
And it's funny because it always kind of sounds awkward, and that's the whole point.
Perfect. I love it.
So we'll just do a quick 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Okay.
And we can all look at the camera and say, in softness we thrive. As
Okay.
a group.
Perfect.
Okay. We look in 3, 2, 1. In softness we thrive. Amazing.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Y'all.
You're
This
sweet.
was so fun.
Good.
Yay.
Thank you for listening to Softcore Wellness. We'd like to thank our team at Focal Point Narrative,
Soul Flows Studios,
the Union Fit Hub,
Stella at Star Metals in West Midtown, Atlanta, Georgia.
and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and anywhere else that you listen.
You can find us on our socials at We Are Softcore Wellness. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.